What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kind of Funny's The Conjuring Universe, Cinematic Universe in Review. Cuckoo, baby, cuckoo. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by big old Bathsheba himself.
Every time.
Greg Millis. The nun, Elise Willems.
Oh, there's no religion here,
Far
Tim.
from it. Far from it.
The crooked man, James Willems.
Keek. You'll never see me again.
The old man from Conjuring 2, Nick Scarpino.
Hi,
Nick got
get out of my
such a
chair.
shred to the stick.
I know, I always
Mr.
do.
Wilkins.
Always
Yeah,
do.
but it's more
Mr.
fun to
Wilkins.
call it like it is. You know what I mean? This
Wow.
is the Conjuring Universe, Cinematic Universe in Review, where we are ranking and reviewing every movie in said universe. You can watch this on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygameslive, or you can watch it later on youtube.com/kindoffunny, roosterteeth.com, or just search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny reviews, and we will be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like our Patreon producers, James Davis at James Davis Makes and Andrew Feisner did. Thank you all so very much. Also, this episode is brought to you by a bunch of very cool sponsors, including Manscaped, Keeps, Bespoke Post. But most importantly, it is brought to you by a youth novel called A Night in Halloween House by none other than Elise Willems. Elise, I know you hate this right now. I know you hate us talking about
inside.
this. The fact
My
that you,
armpits are going to be just covered in sweat.
over the last 6 years, you've been working on here and there this children's youth novel. A little redundancy there for me, but what do you want to say about it?
When you reduce it in that way, it seems like a very minor accomplishment. I was kidding. I wrote this book, and it's just kind of like an ode to nostalgic Halloweens, a little bit scary maybe. Halloween's my favorite holiday, much like Greg, the king of Halloween.
Thank you.
Superior David S. Pumpkin suit.
I thought it was blessing, but okay.
No, if you go to Spirit Halloween's Twitter, you see that
They
I'm the
do
king
have
of
blessing blocked. Yes. Which I agreed with. I agreed with
Thank
that
you.
measure. But yeah, thank you guys for shouting out. All of you have been super supportive to me, like Greg especially. So I appreciate you guys. And now your thing. Now your thing.
I watched her working on it and often thought this would be a good opportunity for me to also work on my things that I want to create, but I didn't. But I have escaped the underworld 3 times in Hades.
Oh,
so
shit.
I am not without accomplishment.
That's better.
Myself.
That's better than what I did.
Pro gamer.
Wow, what an honor to be among all of you. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. You guys can check out in the link in the description below. It's a link to the Amazon Kindle version
You don't have to do that.
A Night in Halloween House.
Do you guys have a referral link, an affiliate link, so at least you guys can get some back end for that?
We do, but we don't know what it is.
We don't know how to
Yeah.
use that. We don't know how to do that.
No idea at all how to use that. But again, congrats, Elise. That is super, super awesome.
It's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
But we're not talking about A Night in Halloween House today. A Night in Halloween House in reviews coming eventually. But today,
Chapter by chapter.
we're talking about Annabelle Creation, aka Annabelle 2, released August 11th, 2017. Which, man, that doesn't seem like that long ago.
Nope.
Like these Conjuring movies feel very kind of backloaded.
Yeah.
You know,
They were
kind of
pumping them out.
pumping them out, man. Directed by David F. Sandberg, who is a Swedish filmmaker. Do you guys remember who he is?
He did Shazam.
He did
awesome.
Shazam. There you go. And the older sister in this movie is also the older sister in Shazam.
Miss Marvel.
So it's funny. I didn't know who he was until I caught someone I think recommended his YouTube channel for me. And he does a lot of like do-it-yourself filmmaking tutorials on his channel. And I was like, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And then I looked him up. I was like, oh, it's because he's the guy that directed Shazam. So that's why.
He is best known
Yeah.
for his collective no-budget horror short films under the online pseudonym Pony Smasher, and for his 2016 directorial debut Lights Out, which was based on his 2013 horror short of the same name.
Gotcha.
Remember this,
That
guys?
makes sense. Yep.
That was good. That was
a
damn
great
good.
short.
I never saw Lights
Great
Out,
short.
and I always get that confused with Don't Breathe, because Don't Breathe is the one about the guy who can't see, and Lights Out is the one about the guy who can't breathe. I can't remember if that's the
Yeah,
guy.
I never saw the movie, but the short was fantastic. Did you guys see the movie?
Yeah.
I saw
both.
the Lights Out was the one with the kid? No. When the ghost and the kid?
Lights Out
There's
is a young woman, I believe.
You don't want the lights out, Nick. You should watch it.
love
I think you would enjoy it.
At least watch
I
the
mean,
short. It's
I mean,
fantastic.
The short's
now.
great. Yeah.
I like I said, when I'm watching his YouTube video, he's got a hilarious, like a good personality. And then watching the videos, he literally did a whole series about like mistakes that he made in Shazam and like went through them and was like, here's how hard this scene was to direct. There's a moment that sorry to ruin this for you guys, but there's a great shot where he's like, hey, we had this. He's like, you think it's really easy to direct these DC films and you don't make mistakes because you have a budget. But here's a shot where we looked at it and we had already moved locations. And he goes, it's not. And he's like, this happens all the time where you move locations and then you go back and watch the shot and you go, I wonder why I allowed half the crew to be standing in the background of the shot. And he goes, and all we had time to do and all we had budget to do was like just composite shopping bags into their hands and just make them part of the scenery. So it's like, he's got a really cool down to earth like vibe of like, I totally fucked this whole movie up, but it ended up being not the whole movie. He fucked up shots from it, but it ended up, it's production and you just have to figure it out and make it work.
Yeah. So, a lot of his personality is actually seen in something that I want to show you guys. So he directed The Lights Out. That was his debut. He also directed the Conjuring universe spin-off film, Annabelle Creation, and then Shazam, the 7th installment in the DC extended universe. So there's a lot of DCEU and Conjuring universe, brothership
Ocean Master
going on here.
Yeah.
Exactly. The 7th installment DCEU and his new avant-garde film on his YouTube channel, I Flip You Off for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Okay, what is this? So I went to his YouTube channel, checked it out. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a video of him standing there.
But is it looped?
Flipping you off for 4 hours. Now, I tried to do a little research into this.
Okay.
And
like
based on, and by research, I mean, I looked at the comments and read what other people did research on.
Tim Search. Yeah.
And Tim Search, exactly. And they have decided that he stood here like this for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Before looping it, which I gotta say, I'm impressed
Still
with.
Still impressive.
Yeah, that's a long time to hold my arms up. I can do that.
Like this is a lot. I don't know about all that, but I also learned one other thing in the comments that brings me great joy because this is a 4-hour movie, right? Barrett, can you please go to the 3-hour mark?
Yes, please, Barrett.
It's just the thriller video.
All right.
It's Conjuring 3.
And just let it play. Let it play from here.
Oh, is there Easter egg?
There must.
Oh
be.
yeah, and it is bizarre.
Annabelle.
4, 3.
Okay. Kid messing up his hair.
It's backward.
It's reversed.
For audio listeners, you should definitely come over and watch this video because shit gets fucking weird.
What's he taking? What's he stuffing that stuff into?
Toilet paper?
Oh, it's toilet paper.
Okay.
This is awesome. This is better than 99% of the shit I see on TikTok.
You don't watch TikTok.
No, I don't watch TikTok.
What are you doing on TikTok?
But anyway, what the fuck, guys?
He's awesome. You guys should watch. I actually encourage you to watch his made from home shorts. I watched a couple of them, and they're really. I mean, he's obviously a really good director, but it's just him and his wife, and they're like little DSLR, and they're awesome.
Is this him as a kid? Is he a kid here?
I think this is him. The face definitely looks like a younger version of.
Yeah.
No, so this is. I mean, it's 4:3. It looks like home video. So maybe this is when he was a
back
kid.
in the day.
When he didn't know he was going to be a filmmaker, maybe he thought he was going to be a magician or one of those ribbon, or one of the ribbon people from the gym.
Or maybe he
Olympics.
knew he was interested in filmmaking and he's screwing around with a backwards video.
I don't know, Greg. That sounds insane.
Greg, can I have 1 second where you just play into the joke? This is why I like working with James and Elise.
I think he's more of a plumber because his affinity
Laying
for toilet paper.
Oh.
Laying pipe. There you go. But I'm very impressed with this man, and many people should be, because this movie had a budget of $15 million at a box office.
Which again, before you say the box office, I hear I do the thing where I hear 15 million and I go, good God, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I know in terms of movies, that's not a lot of money.
Being on this show, doing an interview every week for all the different franchises, when we name the amount of money for movies, it always baffles me when certain numbers are said because we get used to this. 15 million is
micro.
It might be the lowest we've heard, or definitely besides the first Nolan movie following.
Sure.
This is definitely one of the lowest, with a box office return of $306.5 million.
That's a lot
Pretty
of.
good.
That's a lot
Pretty
of money.
good.
Wait,
Insane.
how much was this budget compared to the first Annabelle?
Let me look
Do you know?
that up. I can find that out very easily.
If that
with
was
Wikipedia.
more, I mean, first off, this movie looks like it cost 5 times more to make than that first Annabelle movie.
Well, Annabelle 1 was
one
6.5
location
million,
Well, okay, that
Okay.
actually,
which is
that
also a
makes
lot less,
sense
but
then.
it made 256, which is
This
still
movie-
very impressive.
This movie, just as far as first off, as far as like the skill of filmmaking is concerned, is just so much better made than that first Annabelle movie. I think it feels like it is an actual like should come out during the summer kind of blockbustery horror film. It's shot beautifully. I think he did a good job of, again, still for some reason playing into the necessity to have more than 15
Hey,
female leads.
they deviated with the first Annabelle and had one kid, and they were like,
it
"Fuck,
didn't
this
work.
movie wasn't good. Shove.
made
Let's
200.
copy the Conjuring.
kids
Copy
back,
the Conjuring. Bring in
more
1 million
kids.
kids. Give me a demon that can puke on people."
But they somehow made each kid. I think he did a great job of directing them. First off, I think the kids did a great job, and I think he did a good job of distinguishing between all of them, even though they're all relatively like within the age span of 10 years from each other, and you know what they're all doing at one time. Except for there's one kid who I'm like,
always
there's
one
one
for
kid that
Nick.
like popped in. I was like,
Always
where'd you come from? But the rest of the kids seem pretty good.
You
But
think
again,
at
I
this
think
point you'd be able to keep track, like you'd know that we're going into a cuckoo viewing, and you're going to start writing down the kids and stuff.
I should. I just know that one's name was Janice, and I don't know what the rest of their names were. But
To your
Janice
point
and Linda. Linda was the other one, right? That's the one
Was
who
it
hung
Linda?
out. They hung out together.
about the Great Summer movie, Nick. James and I saw this at the drive-in. Canadian Summer.
Canadian Summer at the drive-in.
Canadian Summer at the drive-in.
Doesn't get better
And it
than
was
that.
it was a fantastic drive-in movie because like it's not the best movie, but in the context of which we were seeing it, it was a fantastic time.
I think it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And obviously it's very much reminiscent of the other movies we've seen because they're all just about a haunting that happens in a house. But what I was telling, I was having coffee with my wife this morning, and she was like, "How was the movie last night?" I was like, actually pleasantly surprised because I was more invested in Anthony LaPaglia and Miranda Otto's story than I had given it credit for. And I was like, if this actually weren't a horror movie, I would still be interested in the premise of this film, which is that this couple that's lost their daughter adopts 6 orphans and like lets them use their house, and then of course finds, if this were a drama, it would be Anthony LaPaglia finding his way back to redemption, and everyone would live happily ever after.
Would you
Fortunately,
put Renee Zellweger in that picture?
I would absolutely put Renee Zellweger.
Every little thing she does is magic.
But I was like, I actually really enjoyed watching this, and I think that a lot of the scares specifically got me. He went back to, I think the first Annabelle, the big problem I had was that it was like a lot of jump cuts, and they thought that was going to be scary, and it turns out when you just get decent actors and just stay on them, that is the scariest trigger for me. Like when I can't see what's on frame left or frame right, and you just stay there, and it's just long enough, man, I start to freak out in the dark.
One of the most important changes, in my opinion, was the design of Annabelle, which feels a little bit older and feels, I mean, she looks slightly different, but also just the way that they're lighting her, the way that they're framing her in shots. They're not doing these like weird close-ups. The Annabelle felt much more sinister than she
Scary
did
for the person.
Yeah.
Scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one shot. There's only one shot of her where I was like, they should have gotten something else for that. And there's the shot where Janice goes into her room for the first time. Oh no, and then she goes back into she goes into like one of the rooms where they make the dolls or whatever. And the door closes and you see the Annabelle doll behind her. And then the Annabelle doll stands up, and for whatever reason, they cast a 6'4" actor. Because it's like an NFL
demon, right?
linebacker that just stands up.
Demon, Nick.
But it wasn't that tall where you're like, oh my god, it's gonna keep going up. It just stood up, and they were like, we just need, who's the shortest person on the crew right now?
Who's the shortest tall person?
Yeah,
Craft services, get over here. I actually
was
love
very, very weird.
that scene with the sheet that's covering Annabelle.
100%.
I love that, and I love that the mechanic of keeping Annabelle in the closet.
Yeah,
it's
they
great.
did a great job with that too. I think those are the scares this one excels at. I think where it's coming at you and then it falls down, which is creepy enough. When Linda is in the bed, or she shoots the thing out and it bounces right, and then it gets grabbed, and then when she gets in a bed and you hear the and like you should see it by that point, but you don't see it. And like that's so good at it being scary, genuinely scary.
Man, and they were literally like, "What's scary? Beds. How do we take that
Double
up a
down.
1,000 notch? Bunk beds."
Yeah.
Oh my god, the bunk bed scene. I was like, I don't like this.
That's one of my favorite things about this movie is that it telegraphs everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just scares for the sake of scares. It's like, it basically, like, you arrive at the house and you're like, are you kidding me? It's a terrifying house in the middle of nowhere. And then it basically, like, they're like, let's take you on a tour of the house. And they go, here's this nightmare elevator.
Yep.
That'll take you up the stairs. That's a nightmare, and it's going to be terrifying later. Over here is
I do appreciate how they all applaud though. When she gets on, it starts with like, all right, yeah.
And they're like, over here is the nightmare room where the doll's going to be moving back and forth. Like, they just basically take you around, and everything is kind of
here's this creaky old dumb waiter, right? Like that one totally
Yeah.
end up as a guillotine for somebody. For somebody.
The chair is always one of those things where I can't remember what movie it was. I know there was a
Gremlins.
chair in Gremlins, right?
Yeah.
Was there another one in Tales from the Crypt or one of those type anthology movies that you guys remember where the cat maybe kills the old lady? Or maybe I guess it was just Gremlins because Gremlins she gets shot out of the window, right?
Yeah, the Gremlins hotwire her chair and launch her.
James will know because wicker wheelchairs is one of his greatest fears.
Oh yeah, terrifying. I'd rather if something happened to me, say something happened to me, I was sent back through time to the turn of the century or even up to, let's say, up to the 1920s or whatever, right? Depression era stuff. And the time travel severed my spine, forcing me to no longer be able to use my legs to walk. And the doctors arrived and they said, well, you're never going to be able to walk again in this time period, but we have prepared this wicker wheelchair for you to roll around in. I would say, I'll crawl. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That would be how I would react.
That makes sense. That makes total sense.
Never thought about it, but I get it.
I never thought about it, but I get it.
No, dude,
Most people don't.
I enjoyed this movie so much to the point that I'm questioning where I rank it. Like, it's a weird thing for me where it's debatably number one for me because I think it learned the most from the other ones and kind of replicated and delivered in certain ways. But I still think that there's something about Conjuring. The Conjuring movies just feel superior to the Annabelle one so far.
They do.
Well, the Conjuring has the element of the team coming in to solve the problem.
Yeah.
This one, I think what I really liked about it was they made one really important creative choice is they were like one of the characters literally goes, we have to get out of here. And then the nun goes, we don't have anywhere else to go. Yeah. There's no one coming to save us. There's nothing we can do. And that moment you're like, oh, that's so scary. Because what are they, like they're kids. First off, they try to drive a car. I can't figure out how to do.
They're orphans.
They're orphans. They got no parents. No one's gonna look out for them. And apparently that priest just dropped them off like they're on Mars, took them out back to Earth, and was like, I'm never coming back to you idiots.
Yeah. It's just weird for me because like in so many ways, this movie kind of feels like it learned what the other ones did right and did that stuff again. And in some ways, in most ways, I'd say better. But it somehow didn't learn from the mistakes. And that's where all the kids come into play, where I'm like, there's still too many kids. Granted, I think these kids do a better job than we've ever seen before. And the two main lead kids, I'm like, all about. Totally believe you. I agree with Nick. There's always the one kid that I'm like, why is there this extra guy? It's so weird. But I think as the premise, this one still does the same convoluted shit that the other ones do, where there's always just too many demons. There's always just too many things going on at once. Where for a movie called Annabelle Creation, the creation of Annabelle doesn't seem explained in a way that feels valid to me. Where I'm like, okay, cool. The kid dying, named Annabelle, totally get it, totally vibe. But these people were also doll makers. That's convoluting this in a weird way where like that has nothing to do with Annabelle.
People have jobs.
I know, but like
I mean,
it's so
I think,
weirdly
I get what you're saying
in a way that's not connected.
It feels because they have to do that whole explanation. They're like, you know, they use things that are scary, like don't disturb the wife. She's in that room. And you think there's some sort of scary, and it's a really good motivator for, I feel like, the whole story, because you're like, don't go in there. That's a scary door. Is she the scary one or whatever? But it's also weird because then you get that explanation. You're like, oh, I feel like there's a whole piece of something. Like, it's called Annabelle Creation. Maybe that was the Annabelle Creation movie. This seems like Annabelle continuation of what she's still already doing, which is rampaging on these kids in a lot of ways. So it does feel... And this is something I guess all of the Cuckoo movies have to an extent, where they have this, you know, second act reveal that now becomes the new engine for the movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know?
And see, I have no problem with the connection that Annabelle's the kid, the doll maker's there. That's how this all happens. It's more when you start, like, I feel like most of them do this, where you get to the ending and you're like, oh man, I see how it connects to the next one, and then you think about it, where it's like, so wait, then in the next Annabelle, which is the first Annabelle we saw, where she comes in, Annabelle, who the demon who inhabited the doll Annabelle and tricked them, that demon comes into that house living in the body of this kid and goes into that room and is like, oh fuck, you have the doll. You have the same. Do you know that I inhabited this doll for like so long and you have it? Great. Like, well, that's where you're like, wait a second.
They cured polio?
I kind of wrote that off as like the doll follows the spirit and vice versa, and so like they just, of course, their paths were going to converge again. I thought that was actually pretty clever. I did not see that coming, where when the other couple gets killed and then it cuts and it's the shots in the first one. I was like, oh, that's why they call it creation.
So
I get it. Why didn't they get the same actor back? I don't know.
Something that was interesting is that Elise and I watched Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2, skipped Annabelle, watched Annabelle Creation, and then went back and watched, because we saw Annabelle Creation, we were like, that was pretty good. We should go back and watch the other one. Oof. And then we went back and watched the other one.
Sorely disappointed.
It was really interesting watching Annabelle Creation with that end tag, where it's like, and here's what happened next, and this other thing, and we're just staring at it going like, what is all that? What happened?
But
Why
now we
did
have
another
the
movie
context,
start?
which is great.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I will just to go back though. Like, I think one of the film's faults, this one specifically, is that they do set up this couple to be kind of creepy. The dad's a little bit more sympathetic than the mom. The mom you don't see for the entire second act, really, and you're like, oh, she's gonna be super spooky. And then when we go to her, she's just super normal, just kind of tired. And then she's like, it's happening.
I don't know about that.
Her face is all burned.
She's pretty fucking
her
spooky,
face is
man.
burned,
Just a doll
they
face.
They have a moment where that visual is scary. But when I was expecting her to be like, get these fucking kids out of my house before I kill them. They're not my daughter. But when they come in there, she's like, you should be a little open to these kids being in the house. It might be good for you. And Anthony Apoglia, who, let's have a fucking shout out for So I Married an Axe Murderer, is just like, you know what? You're right, Miranda Otto. I should be open to this. Also, why would we bring these children into this house if we knew there was a killer doll upstairs? Well, it's been 12 years. You're right.
There's so much. Why would you keep the killer doll in the house? Put it somewhere else. Literally fucking anywhere.
You got to capture it. You got to keep it. You got to keep it locked up. You got to keep it locked up.
Lock it up somewhere else. That's not the place that you live.
Too bad. You got to keep your eye on it. There's demons out there.
No. And also, don't put a fucking Resident Evil video game style key in the dollhouse where it is. It's like, why is there a puzzle in this movie? That's so bizarre.
Well, that's the disconnect of the whole thing, right? Of like, so was the demon ever trapped in the room? Like, I didn't interpret that the key is in the dollhouse because the parents put it there. I put it that the demon put it there to be found. But what's the demon's powers that it can be locked in the Bible room, but it can also go outside and like leave notes and draw you into the Bible room to let it out?
I sort of just read that it was dormant until the new souls came in. That it
started feeding off that energy. That's kind of what I got too.
That's kind of where I was. Yeah.
As it started as more of this shit started happening, the more powerful it seemed to get. And they make a reference at some point that it's really powerful now.
Are we supposed to interpret
but going back to what I was saying about the parents,
did the demon kill their daughter? Like, was the demon?
No, the daughter died. Then they prayed to any being that would listen. That they wanted their daughter to come back.
That killed I
firmly believe
it was that Henry Ford,
the assembly line.
It's like when Greg thinks it's super funny to pray to Lucifer, but he doesn't understand one day.
Lucifer gonna pray back.
Greg, I really need some help. Can you help me out? I'm like, fuck. All right, you helped me out a few times. Beelzebub, let's go.
The daughter dying, the daughter getting hit by that car. That was a jump scare that like definitely got me in it. It got me in the mood for the movie, where I was like, okay, this one might actually be pretty good because my blood's already boiling. Like, let's go. And then you get to the house, and immediately it's such a weird thing where they do such a good job of building up that the wife is scary. And they talk about her face being messed up, and then you eventually kind of see her. You hear the bell. They give her all the scary elements that we've learned from Conjuring of like what makes something scary, the tells that you need to look for. But then there's this dad that decides to bring in 3,004 kids to this house, and then just be a dick. It's like
he's learning to love again.
He can't.
But that's so not clear.
This is the first step. This is the first step for him to open his heart again, which is to open the door to his home and then maybe they'll touch his heartstrings. I think he was trying to be a better man.
But I get that, like, if you were reading the script, but like watching the movie, it kind of just seems like he invited a bunch of kids in the house and had the attitude of like, I don't want to fucking talk to you. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. It's like,
Well, and knowing full well that his house is haunted.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
that's
like-
why
it
he was
just adds-
protecting them. He's like,
See, I
I'm not
didn't-
going to be this fun-loving dad because then someone's going to go up, find the magic key, and unlock the Bible door. You know?
Yeah, that's. I mean, honestly, that's
if
what
they
I got.
fear
from it.
my authority, then they won't fuck around. But we know that's not how it takes. So
I got that he wasn't trying to be a dick. I just got that he was like, he wasn't like even in the beginning with the daughter, he just was very stern and sort of a serious human being. And then I think that there's the moment of like he thinks this is sort of like their Christian duty to bring these people in, and he's just not really thinking about affection or you know what I mean. I just got that he was just kind of a very serious character, and then he has moments where it's awkward, but he just doesn't know how to act around this many girls because he his got hit by a car, so we didn't really get to experience that for so long. But I don't know. I thought he was fine. I thought he played it good. I just thought they should have pushed Miranda Otto's character into a little bit more like. What I thought was going to happen was she was going to be evil toward the girls to get them to leave the house to save them.
Yeah, there
To
wasn't much
spare them from
dimension
the
to
war.
her besides being the half face.
well, then she became even more than a half face. She became a half
person, yeah.
in what is
Scare-
arguably the most
Scarecrow
graphic sequence in all the cuckoo thus far.
For
right?
sure.
I was gonna say, Tim, you finally start getting your body count. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You've been looking for
Finally.
the demons to finally start fucking killing people.
Jesus, it took this long, and I'll give it to him, man. Like the deaths are gruesome, and the deaths like they hit you
Dude,
where
when the
where it
dad's
hurts, man.
fingers get broken, oh,
It's-
yeah,
but
it's great. It's
When
so
he's
good.
when he's holding on with that last pinky, I was like, that's
Let it go.
good on him. Because at a certain
go.
point, I lose 2 or 3, I'm dropping the crucifix and,
those are-
I'm going for it. But he was like, no.
Yeah, those are doll making hands.
Those are
That's
doll
the money maker.
He's not going to make another
Say the
Annabelle
snapping
again.
your fingies.
Yeah.
What
Do you think he
doing?
was still making the dolls? I thought I had that wonder if he had stopped because like he has the room
broken
still
heart.
shit, but like we don't
A
see
doll
him in
maker
there.
never stops making dolls,
true.
even if
It's
they
true.
haven't put one together in over 15 years.
He's putting them together up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's designing
Yeah.
new ones up here. I understand.
He's like, what about nightmare cheeks, nightmare eyes, nightmare face?
Some fun facts I got for you here. The farmhouse was also used as Dolores' home in Westworld.
Okay.
All right.
That's a fun fact. That's a
little
fun fact.
spooky set
Yeah.
fact.
Fun fact.
This is the first Conjuring film in which Ed and Lorraine Warren are not featured or mentioned in any way.
Okay.
Because
Interesting.
they would have been babies.
Yeah, they're too young.
Yeah, but I mean, even in
Yeah.
the like ending bits. But the mask that Miss Mullins is wearing is seen in the Warrens' haunted objects in The Conjuring.
Oh,
Okay.
in
That's
2013.
some details. That's some details.
I don't know if you guys noticed this. One of the very hidden Easter eggs was when the sister shows a photo of her with other nuns, and then there's a holographic like Topps baseball card tinfoil evil nun in the background. I don't know if you saw that.
I missed it the first time, but then after I
Now you
rewound
describe
it,
it.
I
I don't know, I
rewatched
never
it.
met
Now that I
that
hear.
fucking ghoul.
Yeah.
So something I like that this movie did a
Who's
lot.
that in the corner?
Yeah, I just like that her reaction wasn't Jesus fucking Christ. It was, I don't remember seeing her around.
I know we weren't friends.
An example of what I was saying earlier about this movie kind of learning what the other ones do well and applying it here is there's more times in this movie than any other one where in the background in the darkness you just see eyes or you
Yeah.
just see like a hand or just like random things moving in like motion and stuff. And it's a lot scarier that way than when you see Valak in his weird ass form like standing over like a shitty Ryuk from Death Note. It's like, all right, that's not scary.
Oh,
The
totally.
practical scares are great in this one as well, and I'm sure that's a product of the budget. But just even when they're running to the well, the sound design there,
Oh,
there's,
yeah,
a
the
big, there's a big sound
footsteps.
scare that happens. Yeah, the footsteps, and it's great. And that the little girl plays it so well. Her reaction is perfect. And
Same thing for that same actress from when she's under the stairs and we get Annabelle in the chair and then the demon eyes, right? Just the eyes and the hand, then the scraping metal
Oh, yeah.
sound. Like you're like, even watching that, I was like, God.
Yeah, I think
they
they made
really
a
pull it off.
they made a concerted effort to make this a little bit more artistic as well. Like there's a couple of shots in this, and I was like, that was actually really beautifully done shot. Specifically when we're going through the closet and the camera turns upside down and then goes to the well, and then it just is a match cut up into the well, and the
Oh,
girls
yeah.
look over and they're like, what's going on in this well? I was like, that was actually
great.
a really cool
Transition.
foreshadowing device of like this shit's gonna wind up somewhere in the well, you know. And moments like that.
A very cool thing with that is the production design and kind of the idea of like building the fear into the place that they're at, which is something that we've seen now multiple times, every time in these movies. Is the house is such a key element to the entire movie, right? And like the house kind of has its own backstory and like at least the rooms and all this shit. And I feel like that's why Annabelle 1 really fell apart, is that there was two houses. There was an apartment, there was the house, and like we built something up, tore it down, whatever. This one, we got to know this place. We understood the way that it was all set up with the well outside. But there are crosses and upside down crosses everywhere in the design of this building. So anytime the camera does that type of turn, it's like you're still seeing crosses, and then you see the upside down cross turning into a normal cross. And I'm like, that's a cool ass design. And I was reading some facts about that are talking about how it was like supposed to show that this house still had positive and negative energy in it at the same time. Oh my,
that's someone who put a lot of thought into the movie they were making.
Yeah, to echo what you're saying about the first Annabelle really kind of bogarting the fact that the location can be a character. This one set up so many great locations within it: the well, the closet, the chair. Like they're just all these little pieces of texture to this house that make these scares possible, and I really like that. I love when the setting is a character too.
I mean, the little scarecrow's lounge in the farmhouse or whatever the hell that was, like when she starts getting pushed by the nun in the wheelchair, that's a moment that should have been corny and stupid and like totally taken me out of it, because it's broad daylight and it's like, this should not be scary seeing this nun run, but we've seen the nun run, we know about that, right? And her running and pushing her into this house, I was scared. And I'm like, it's a perfect example of a horror movie winning me over, where I'm like, cool. And you've sold me on this world so much that I will get scared by something that's not scary.
And it's playing with the tropes, right? Because even the way the sister brings her out and is like, it'll be good to feel the sun on your face. Like traditionally, as we've talked before, right? Being outside on a sunny day, you can hear the other kids laughing. That's usually a safe spot. And so the way they play it, of the hands wrapping around and pushing, and then she even looks back, but the way they do it with the silhouette, the sun behind it, you can't, you know, it's not the sister, but you don't know who it is pushing her. So great.
And shout out to that younger actress too, who I haven't seen her in anything else before, but
Annabelle. No, that's all right. Hold on, I was reading the wrong one. Sorry. Fuck, I fucked up. What you're saying?
Annabelle Creation.
No. Talitha Eleni Bateman.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
I think she
of
did a
course.
great job.
The star of Away, which was just canceled by Netflix and is an injustice. I need to know how they live on Mars.
I watched the first episode of that. Is it good?
I enjoyed
the second
myself.
episode
Nick
of that.
hated it, but Nick likes bad movies, so I don't know how to take any bear from that. It's not the best thing ever, but it's fun.
I want to give another note to sort of like him really kind of knowing who his main characters are, when that was another thing I had an issue with the Conjuring 2, which I was like, who are they? We've got too many characters here and we're splitting too much time between them. I like that this did kind of a pass off, where it sets off that Janice is sort of our main character, but really it's the two younger girls who are apart from the group both visually and like emotionally, because they're the two youngest, and then you know, she's got polio, so she can't keep up with them playing and all those things, and this is her friend who sort of pities her. But they give that nice little handoff midway where they build that second character up just enough, and you're like, oh, she's gonna die, and then Janice is gonna have to deal with it. And then Janice is the one that starts murking people with a fucking kitchen knife, and this other girl has to be the one to solve it. And that normally wouldn't, it's really hard to do and it wouldn't work, but for me it worked in this. By the time we get her to the well, you're like, oh, I now feel like we have switched over perspective, and now we're with her. And I thought, and then there's a moment when everything kind of goes crazy, and we start going on different planes of action with specifically the nun and the other girls, which is good as well. But kudos to them, because it kind of reminds me of, I'm going to say this, but maybe not, Psycho, where you're like, this is our main character, and we're with them for a second, and then they just, nope, they're off the rails, and now we've got another main character. And you just don't see that too much.
Well, Nick, I appreciate you bringing this up, because I loved how they did that as well, and they set it up so well in the beginning, where there's the beginning opening kind of scenes to get you scared, the little kid dies, all that. Like, we're used to that with these horror movies, especially with the Conjuring movies. But then you're on the bus, or whatever that is, getting them to the house, and it seems like the main character is Linda, right? Like, you're focusing on her, she's talking to the other girl. And everything kind of seems based around her experience with it. But she's like, hey, we're going to get a house and you're going to come with me, right? Like, that's kind of the vibe. And immediately then it's like, oh, no. The main character is Janice. And once you get to the house, and once it's revealed that she has the disability she does. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But then for them to midway through the movie flip it back, I think that's why it worked, is that they set it up early that we had expectations on the first little girl. And it's like, you know what, guys? I think this might be my number one. I don't know.
I mean, it definitely is. Again, and I was just from a visual standpoint, I'm like, this is such a cut above what everyone else was doing in the Conjuring universe that like could give him. Has he directed more of these, or is this the only one he's directed? Do we know?
I don't know.
I can look it up.
He's
just good, man.
I think this is the only one.
And also, I just want to give a shout out to the fact that his cinematographer has the best name ever. His name is, sorry, I was going to look, where's his cinematographer is Maxim Alexander.
Wow.
Think about that, James. You thought your James Willem was cool.
I never thought James Williams was cool.
That's pretty cool.
I wanted to be named, Alexander Powerhouse or something.
It's not too late.
I'm Lex Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Arms.
Sorry. Sorry.
Before we move on, let me tell you about our sponsors.
Oh.
This episode is brought to you by Manscaped. 2020 is nuts, but that doesn't mean you should disregard your beautiful nuts. Oh my God. Manscaped is on a mission to take care of your twins with their below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products, and they just released their products in the UK, Canada, and Australia. So now all of you beautiful people out there in the rest of the world that aren't in America get to enjoy what I've been enjoying down under for a very long time. They also just released the Crop Care Kit, which is a formulation bundle to give you A+ balls and is the ultimate male hygiene hack. The Crop Care Kit includes the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant that Andy's been talking about for a long time. The name speaks for itself. The Crop Reviver, it's a ball toner. A spray-on toner that will give your balls a little slice of heaven with their aloe vera and hazel extracts. Haven't tried that yet, but I'm pretty stoked to. And the Crop Mop Ball Wipes. You never know when an opportunity strikes, so you should always be prepared. They do a whole bunch of other stuff too, including the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. We've talked about it before. It offers a replaceable ceramic blade with advanced skin-safe technology, which helps reduce grooming accidents. It's all good stuff. These formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free. So you know your man is in good hands. You can get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com with code MORNING. That's manscaped.com, code MORNING. Get 20% off for free shipping at manscaped.com with the code MORNING. Now that's about getting rid of hair you don't want, but what about if you want to keep some hair that you do want? That's where Keeps comes into play. Here's the deal. Nick, Andy, both of them realized a long time ago that their hair was starting to thin out a little bit, and they were like, we need to do something about this. And they are not alone. There's about 66% of men will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35, and the best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while you still have hair left. You used to have to go to the doctor's office for your hair loss prescription. Now, thanks to Keeps, you can visit a doctor online and get hair loss medication delivered right to your home. They make it easy and deliver your medication every 3 months so you can say goodbye to pharmacy checkout lines and awkward doctor visits. It's one of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products out there. You may have tried them before, but probably never for this price. You can find out why Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors, and more than 100,000 men trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention medication. Keeps treatment start at just $10 a month, plus for a limited time, you can get your first month free. All you got to do is go to keeps.com/morning. That's KEEPS.com/morning. Keeps.com/morning to get your first month of treatment free. And finally, this one's a little bit different. Bespoke Post. They have this thing called the Box of Awesome, and let me tell you, it really is a box of awesome things. Blessing recently got some dope shoes. Kevin got some dope hue lights. So did Joey. I got some dope craft cocktail kit stuff going on. Really cool. This fall, as you get back into the swing of things, Bespoke Post has brand new seasonal Box of Awesome collections for guys, guaranteed to upgrade your life. Whether it's gear to upgrade your autumn craft beers or cozy threads for when the temperature dips, Bespoke Post only sends you the best stuff every month. No matter what you're into, you just go to the site, you do a quiz, it lets you know what you're into, what you want. Then they send you a box of super awesome stuff. Each box only costs $45, but has over $70 worth of cool stuff inside. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter code MORNING at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code MORNING for 20% off your first box.
before Elise gets her
Now,
thought,
Elise, what's up?
wait, before she does that, Tim, you started agreeing with me, and I was like, Tim usually only agrees with me when he's about to segue into an ad, and I'm happy you didn't. I'm happy I just made a point that actually resonated with
I
you.
really
That's
thought the way he
hilarious.
had set it up, like how he had bounced
Right?
it off of you, it was like, oh, he's about to go into an ad right now.
I'm happy you brought that up, Nick, because I'm wearing me undies.
That's very funny because this is one of the rare times we're going to do the ads, record them after the show, and I don't even know what the ads are. So I wish I had the segue. I'm sorry, guys. I'm letting you down.
That's okay.
Elise,
what were
sorry
you
to
gonna say?
distract.
Oh no,
from
sorry.
your
I
conversation.
just had a brain freeze. I was just thinking like we haven't really talked about the end in which the little girl Janice disappears.
Sure.
And which I felt was kind of like
She
I
ate
wasn't
right through the wall like a rat.
She scratches
Yeah.
her way through all.
I didn't truly love her just disappearing and then turning up again at the orphanage.
Again,
See, I
talking
kind of
about
liked it.
laying groundwork, though. I did like how that room that had Bible stuff all over it also had one Rita Hayworth poster, and I was like, "What's under that poster?" And then you find out at the end.
Cop comes in, throws a rock, goes right there. You're like, no.
What about you, fuzzy britches? I liked it because it was the different ending, right? Of the obviously, you know, the first Annabelle, the demon wins or whatever, I guess, by having that woman commit suicide. But it still was like, oh, everything's still okay. Like, I liked the idea that she got away. And even this being my second viewing, I kind of forgot that it goes and attaches to the you know, movies we know, right? By then having her be on the run at another orphanage and then running into those parents again and getting brought back and having it all go. Like, again, yeah, like, I understand that the doll and the demon are all like, you know, playing into the same hands and all these things are happening in a very specific way to get them back together. But even my jokes from before of like, all right, it's kind of ridiculous the way that happens. I appreciated the way it dovetails so perfectly.
Yeah.
I do too, but like this is weird because I love cinematic universes probably more than anything else in this world.
Wow.
When they work.
You have a fiance.
I do. It definitely goes CUs and then Gia, you know? But with that, I love that how these movies can kind of stand alone and then have like a little bit at the end that ties it in that almost feels unrelated. Like, hey, it's a great movie, but let's tie it into the other things because that's fun and we enjoy that. And that's why we like this type of stupid nonsense that is a cinematic universe. But I just feel like this one was a leap too far where I'm like, so you're, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because I might have missed something from this, but like this little girl that we just kind of spent 2 hours, or not even 2 hours, like an hour and 50 minutes with in this movie that we got to know has now escaped. The demon is still in her. She then goes to an orphanage. There's a time jump for her turning into a 20-year-old or whatever it is.
A brunette as well.
Right.
Yeah, all of that. And then she's in the original Annabelle movie, and like we know what happened there, where there's the cults and all of that, whatever. But what about in between that? There's just a demon just going to high school.
Puberty
Stormont.
puberty is the demon, and you can't.
This is like
die.
legitimately
Hiding in plain
like, you know, in the Dark Knight thing where the Joker's talking to Two-Face and he's like, I'm a dog chasing a car. What would happen if I catch it? The demon wins and it's just like, fuck, I guess I'll go back to an orphanage. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll do the long game to get into this cult, to show them I'm the demon, to bring about another demon that I guess is me.
I just feel
it
like
is a
last
good
week we made a
point.
joke at some point about like or like 2 weeks ago about Annabelle Goes to College, but this very much kind of like opens up like an Annabelle high school Netflix show.
It
That's
for
just her trying to
sure-
figure herself out.
It for sure is a give and take with, I feel like, the cuckoo as a whole. Like, I think the only reason we're talking so positively about this movie that is the sequel to a spin-off movie, it's a prequel sequel to the spin-off movie of some sort of aside from the first Conjuring movie. The only reason we're talking about it so highly is because someone said, figure out something that's scary, make something scary and compelling, and then at the end we'll just somehow figure out how to tie it together. So
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like we're going to end up with anything that feels like an Iron Man 2, which it only kind of exists to serve the greater universe, which is so it's a give and take. I do think that we're going to end up with more stuff like this where it goes, and 50 years later something else related to all of this happens, which is that doesn't feel like it's coherent, right?
But
so
it is a good point though, Tim, because you're I think you're starting to see the limitations of the sort of demon haunting story, which is that what happens if the demon wins? You're right. What do they go to 7-Eleven for a Slurpee? Like, what is their next And then it's like the whole. I guess the first part was like, I'm going to torture you until you kill yourself to give me your soul. That was the whole. That was what the demon from this movie wanted. But then the demon says it in this. They're like, I want your soul. And then it gets someone's souls, and then it kills 40 people. And it's like, what about those souls? Are you just banking those? And I guess that's the answer to your question, Tim. It was just eating those souls for 12 years straight. And then when it got hungry again, was like, I need to go back out into the world. But I don't know. Also, how did they win? I guess they just locked it in the room, and the thing was like, I guess I'm done for the night.
Yeah.
The same room that I got locked in and easily can get out of all the time, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They also still don't have anywhere else to go. They didn't resolve that. It's not like they got on the bus and found a giant wad of cash that they were.
I kind of thought they were going to inherit the home.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Everybody's dead. You're the last people standing. I guess you own this house now.
We know there's a whole bunch of truck drivers out there. Basically, in the Conjuring movie. Someone will come by and get them.
Yeah,
someone will take care of you poorly.
We bought it sight unseen.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of the fun little bits here. What do you got for me?
Elise, hit the song.
7 syllables in the middle. You
Not
can
that
have
one.
a pretty good time. If you
No,
have to
give me
win it,
ragu
you
bagu.
know,
Give me
ragu.
ragu. No,
Oh.
Elise, give me ragu bagu. Da 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 da.
Dun, dun. Ragu.
Da 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 da. Bagu. Whoa! What's up, everybody? Welcome to a podcast within a podcast where we rank the best scares and the best beasties of the The Conjuring cinematic universe. Right now, for best scares, remember, best scare is unranked, meaning these are just like shout outs. These are awards given, no ranking needed. For The Conjuring, we said the fucking clap. For Annabelle, we said the girl to crazy woman in the doorway. And for Conjuring 2, we said the nun to the hallway to the painting. What is the best scare of Annabelle Creation?
I like that sheet scare.
I agree. The
get what you're
sheet's at the
saying,
top
that
of
it's
mine,
like
too.
a 6 foot tall man. They miscast the body double, but I did like that a lot.
I think that, to me, the scariest moment was the bunk bed scene where what's the other character's name? Not Janice,
Linda.
the other one.
Linda.
Linda has that moment where she hears something running at her and she turns around and it's not there.
Yeah.
And then she does whatever. I guess the only rational thing you can do at that point when you're cornered, you're like, I got to elevate. So she goes up to the top, and then you hear the footsteps again. Looks over and sees the muddy footsteps, like the dark, like tar-like footsteps going underneath the bed. And I'm like, oh, don't do it. Do not cut to a shot of her looking down the crack. And what do they do, Tim? You just see her eye peer down, and it's just, what is she? Annabelle. Damn it.
And then the demon hand
comes in and grabs it.
Great,
I'm like, oh,
great
okay.
stuff.
This is enough for me. I don't need this anymore.
I love that. Yeah, but
Go
I would go with sheet out of those two. I agree that when the sheet stood up and then fell down, creepy.
The one for me, similar to last week when we were doing Conjuring 2, I was talking about the little fire engine where it's like we see it coming, but that's what makes it scary to me, is that when it actually happens, the way that they edited it and delayed, and just the pacing of it was so good for a scare. For me, it was the creepy chair going up the stairs thing, where it's like, this is so obvious what's happening. Like, there's no way they're going to make this scary. But when that demon's like chasing her and you're sitting here as an audience member, like, the seatbelt, the fucking seatbelt. It's like, that's good. And I feel like they pay off that energy with the jump scares at the right time to like really get you. It's the only time so far in these movies that Joey Noelle legitimately screamed out loud.
Wow.
So
interesting.
that's what I'm going to say.
That's
what I'm going to say.
All right. Some good awards there. And then for Best Beastie, we currently have number 1, Valak in The Conjuring 2, number 2, Bathsheba in Conjuring, and number 3, Annabelle's Demon in Annabelle. Where do we want to put Annabelle's Demon in Annabelle Creation?
I want to toss out a wild card here. The Scarecrow Man. Scarecrow Man shows up late in the film, kind of out of place.
Yeah.
But
I wish we got more with him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
I
when they're trying to turn over the engine and the lights are going, and you see him, even if as us as a viewer, we know it's going to move. We see it start to move, but it is so disorienting the way they do it that I really feel that other nameless second oldest girl in the car's fear of like, oh my god, wait, guys, that's moving or whatever. And then you get into the thing with Miss Marvel running around and the bulbs getting unscrewed and then broke, and it's like. It's cool, but I wanted more of him. I really did like Scarecrow.
And I feel like I feel like there was more, and this is another one of those examples that I don't know this, but like it feels like there was a plan that they just didn't fully go through with, because he's in the same pose that the mom is when she dies. So I think that they were trying to somehow like imply that those two instances were related of some sort, because it's at the same time frame in the movie where she dies, that the scarecrow kind of like comes alive. And it's like, that's a cool idea, but it wasn't, it feels a little too heavy handed to have not had a payoff that actually worked.
Yeah.
But having said that, I think that I think this is number one for me, because I think that they did a really good job of, when you think about what Annabelle was, or what Valak, or whatever the fuck it is at this point, was actually haunting, it being Janice, our main character. I was convinced with that. Like, I was scared of her, and I was scared for her. And I think I've never felt that in any of these movies so far, where this one still has a lot of the issues we've seen before, where it gets convoluted, and when you add the other elements and like Scarecrow and all that shit, it gets kind of weird. But just looking about the Annabelle demon, I think she is better in this than ever before. And Janice the actor is fantastic, and she does a really good job as a little kid. And it's scary to have grown with her, having the disabilities that she has, and then to see her moving the way she is and all that. That's scary, right? And like adding on top of that, I feel like it makes sense and adds up more than it has in the past, especially in Annabelle 1.
I agree. I think it's way more supported in this, and you're with these characters, and you see that transformation. Like, you care about Janice, and then so when she switched, and you care about why can I not?
Linda.
Apparently not
Linda.
enough. Linda. Apparently, I don't care about enough. I can't remember her name. But you care about these two characters, and you care about their friendship, and you understand the trials and tribulations they've gone through. So when you see Janice make that transformation, it hits you. And then, of course, they tastefully put the demon there, like in the background here and there, just so you understand that that's the thing pulling everyone's strings. I mean, I was very invested in that whole story from start to finish. So I could see this being number one as well.
I agree with everything you're saying. I really do appreciate the demon in Annabelle Creation. I think I'd still put it at number 2 below Valak.
Same.
There's something about Valak and the presence of Valak and the old man and all that I found. It's I guess, it's all in what you taste or what you prefer, what your tastes are. What do you taste like? But it's the idea of, like, I think more in your face versus more cerebral, which is what this demon played out, right? With the footsteps, with the sheet, with the whatever. I liked the jump scare of the old man before I liked him being in the reflections and stuff.
Yeah, but for me, for Valak though, like Valak being the big bad guy, that was the big problem I had with The Conjuring 2, which was that it wasn't set up well enough. It kind of felt cheap when they were like, "Oh, you thought this guy was bad. Really, the bad guy is Valak." And like, who's Valak again? It's the nun. I thought that was just a side story thing. I don't know. I guess apparently is there a movie about this nun called the Nun?
There is. Get ready for it for next
week, baby.
That's next week.
Yeah,
because I saw that pop up and I was like,
all those questions you don't have will be answered.
Yeah, I guess
Well, it may raise some other questions for you too. I'm with Greg. I'm still mainline Conjuring film in first above. This is a really, really excellent effort. I do love the Warrens though, and what they bring to those stories so much.
Yeah.
So I'm still Conjuring.
Well, are we talking just purely the
right now we're just villain. Right now we're just talking about bad guy.
So Raggy Baggy? Okay.
Yeah, you can still agree with me and put it below Valak.
I agree with Greg.
Yeah,
I agree with Greg. I think that there's just, well, I mean, Valak is a global dominator, and I respect that. I respect that reach.
Thanos.
So.
All right, there you have it then. Number 2 now is Annabelle's Demon and Annabelle Creation, right below Valak.
There we go. What else do we got now? We did Best Scare. We did Ragu Bagu.
We have haiku in review.
We do have
Hit the
haiku in
song.
review. Hit the song, at least.
7 syllables in the middle. Why do I forget the words from last time?
Those weren't even words. It's not like you forgot the words. You're like,
7 syllables in the middle. 5 for the first and last lines. If you have to do it, don't need to do it.
Just don't do it. If you have to do it, just don't do it. You know?
If you have to do it, just don't do it. Haikus are hard to find.
Yes.
Haiku
Yes. You can go
review.
to patreon.com/kindoffunny. Just like no one did this week, actually. Nobody wrote in a haiku in review
no
form.
haikus.
Fair.
People were too obsessed with Catwoman. There were many
Fair.
Catwoman
It's fair.
haikus that
Let's
were
read some of those.
written
Read some
in.
of those. Don't be a coward. Put them out there.
But I mean, the one I'll read now is from Andrew Feisner. It's that cat again, and she took my basketball. Blink, motherfucker. Yeah, there was a
Which
lot.
could also theoretically be about Annabelle Creation.
It could be about Annabelle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basketball. And that.
Yeah, let's just pretend it was. Let's just
Right.
pretend it was. Now it is time to rank The Conjuring.
trying
Do
to
we
do a
do we
haiku,
need to
just
check
so
in
you
with
know.
anybody, Tim?
Oh, you're right.
Where is
You're
Andy?
right. That's a good
Oh,
question.
yeah.
He's
We've
been real
recorded for
busy
so
this-
long without
the
even
past several
questioning where
months.
he
Hate
was.
this bit.
Real busy.
He doesn't even do the songs.
Hey, interview crew, it's me, Andy from Kind of Funny. Sorry I couldn't be there. Again, a lot of scheduling issues have been happening. I apologize for that. I checked the schedule. I thought I checked it at least, but I'm actually flying back home for Christmas to go be with my family. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday, all of you. But I watched the movie and I loved it. I thought it was a great change of pace. And I would say my favorite part is probably towards the end. I think that's the most emotionally impacting impact that I felt throughout the whole movie. Where he's finally arrested, right? We finally got the guy. We arrested him, and FBI is all CIA. Everybody's kind of like circling on the enemy, and the guy looks at him and he's like, you finally got your guy. And he's like, you're gonna get arrested. You're gonna arrest me and stuff. But let me look at this wave. This is all I've wanted to do. Like, this is what my whole life's been about. And then he undoes the handcuffs, right? Undoes the handcuffs because he was handcuffed to the other guy. And he goes, vaya con Dios. And then he goes off and hits that 50-year storm wave, that big wave that he's always been wanting to do. So that was a great moment. And then, main character's walking down the beach and chucks his FBI badge into the water, which I think was really cool and very symbolic. I can't wait for next week. Thank y'all for having me. And yeah, we'll see y'all next time.
It's weird that he kind of turned into Keanu for a second when he was like, I can't wait for next week. It's like, that's weird. Why would you do that?
It's also weird how he says, like, hey, Kind of Funny, the crew. Because, like,
He works with you.
He's here. He was just on the
He
show
really wants
before
a
this.
job with you guys, though.
Yeah.
Is anyone else shocked and surprised and like pleasantly surprised at how much Andy knows about the last 10 minutes of Point Break?
Are we sure that was Point Break, though? It could have been Enemy of the State, starring Gene Hackman and Will Smith.
Wow. I just DVR'd
Jason
that.
Lee was in that too, don't forget.
He was in that.
I just DVR'd that. God.
Shouldn't you be on
Damn.
TikTok?
All right. It's time to rank the Conjuring cinematic universe. Currently, number 1, The Conjuring. Number 2, The Conjuring 2. Number 3, Annabelle. Where are we going to put Annabelle Creation? I already said it earlier in the show. I've somehow convinced myself during it that Annabelle Creation is my number 1. And I know that that's blasphemous for all of the like hardcore Conjuring fans.
Fuck him.
But like
Of the Annabelle universe, Tim.
I just feel like this one does more right than it does wrong. And I think that it does the right stuff better and the wrong stuff better as well.
Oh. Okay.
I don't think you're wrong, Tim. I think this is a really fun cuckoo entry. I would put it number 1. We said it's still Conjuring 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I would put it below Conjuring 1 at number 2. I still think Conjuring 1 has a special sauce to it. I love the Warrens. I loved the team they had assembled. I loved the clap. Everything we're just repeating ourselves, but everything they built in that thing. Of course, the truck driver and too many kids and everything else, of course. But I still think that is the heart of all this, and I think I was more. That movie never lost me, and this one never lost me. But there was times where I was like, "How much more is left?" All right, okay, let's
Really? Because I'm
Conjuring
saying
walked so
this
Annabelle
one
could run.
but it ran fast though, and that's my thing. This one went briskly, whereas like all the Conjuring movies, for as much as I love both the first two, they're long movies.
They're too long.
There's a lot. Whereas this is not too long. It's a key thing.
I think it comes down to like we were talking earlier about scares you like. I think I liked the scares more in Conjuring 1 than this one, but I didn't not like these. I'm not saying I didn't like this movie. Get off my back.
I'm actually with Tim on this one. I think this was the most streamlined and the one that kind of perfected the secret sauce of all of the Conjuring series. And I don't have a stake in this at all because I've never watched these movies. I'm not like a hardcore Conjuring fan where I go to like drive-throughs and shit in Canada to watch this stuff.
Yeah,
but or
Conheads.
I
We're
guess.
called Conheads.
That'd be amazing. But I just think this movie like got me from start to finish. It's the only one I've watched in the series so far that I didn't feel compelled to pause for a second and go do something else and come back to it. I liked it. I think that it was beautifully directed. I think the cast was good, and I think I kind of liked that at the end they lose, and it's like we're off to the next one. We're just gonna kill some more people. It's kind of cool. I don't know.
James. It all comes down to you.
It really so I mean I gotta go Conjuring #1. I don't think there's because I think it's the heart of this whole universe. I think you don't have. I think I agree with that what everyone's saying. I think Annabelle Creation is way better than it had any right to be. But I think the only reason it exists is because there was this other film that impacted so many people in such a grandiose way. I also think that Annabelle Creation is an example of a horror movie that is like just great at being a horror movie, but I think the reason that there is a cuckoo and the reason The Conjuring is this thing that we're even bothering discussing is because someone wanted to make a horror movie that tried to elevate what a horror movie could be. And I think it'll be really hard for me to be talked out of Conjuring #1. I would even say I really like Conjuring 2 as well because I think it strives for those same things that The Conjuring 1 did. But I think if you ask me on a Wednesday, I might say Annabelle #2. But if you ask me on a Thursday, I might say Conjuring 2. So I definitely go Conjuring 1, and then 2, 3. I'm open to discussion.
Yeah, I think
so.
I think it's a 1-2. I think the race between first, second, and third is very, very close for me. I agree with everything you guys said there. I just, for some reason, I think I liked the simplicity of this a little bit more. I think The Conjuring does more with obviously different characters, and they also have they do have the added fun factor of like getting the team together, get all the equipment, which I always think I'm a sucker for that. I went into this one thinking I'm gonna miss this. I need the dude from Watchmen and Vera Farmiga to come take care of this.
You know his name.
Patrick Wilson, I think is his name.
Yeah, you absolutely know it.
Thank you. I just couldn't think of it at the time. But again, I think that's even missing all those elements. I thought this movie just moved. It was good, and it was. I think also good time. It's like hour 43, something like that. Tim,
I got nothing better going on, so I want
hour
longer
50.
movies.
Hour 50.
Well,
Yes,
I just feel like
150.
whenever we start getting above 2 hours of the horror movie, I'm like, I don't give a fuck how scary this is. I'm just tired, and I just don't want to.
So true.
It's not a good thing when your movie goes like 2 hours 14 minutes. And you're like, you know what? Fuck it, kill them all. I'm on your side. Time stab them all in the face. Let's go to Burger King.
All right, let's do the official in review vote. Who thinks that Annabelle Creation is better than Annabelle? Raise your hand. We all raise our hand. Who thinks it's better than Conjuring 2? Raise your hand.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it's been decided for you, so.
I
But then
disagree,
she can't vote from here on out if she doesn't put her hand up.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even
Let's do
matter.
number one.
It doesn't matter. Here we go then. Oh, I guess. Who thinks it's
I'm
better
okay.
than
I'm okay with this.
than Conjuring 1? Raise your hand.
Just the two of us.
Just me and Nick. So that means #1, Conjuring 1. #2, Annabelle Creation. #3, Conjuring 2. And #4, Annabelle. We will be back next week with The Nun. Nick, do you have a question?
I do. Is it possible in your brain that we can figure out a way to lock Andy in a room and film him watching all these movies back to back to back for like 19 hours? And then
A
do a
room that
supercut?
has Bible passages taped up on the walls.
I tried real hard to get him to do this. He did not want to. And Andy, normally I could push him into things, but this.
I also was asking him to please do it, and then when we were watching the first one, I went, "Oh no, Andy couldn't have done
You
it."
couldn't take this. You couldn't
have
take
done
this.
Until next time.
Scare you later.
Nice.